Hey, back with SilverCreekGameShop.com again, opening up another pack. Here we still have 17 packs left to open. We're going to roll a D20 like we usually do to determine it, going from left to right with each one. Big ones still hoping to hit: the Unhinged, the Modern Masters, the Unglued, 6th edition tournament pack, and of course the foil shards pack. 4.
These scars.
Scars of Mirrodin. Alright. The return to the set that was vastly overpowered, where the return was not that vastly overpowered. So, Scars of Mirrodin was the first set that they went back to a plane that they had already left, really. And it kind of was the precursor to the Return to Ravnica. I got a glimpse of our foil. Our token is an insect with infect. Infect started in Scars of Mirrodin. Our foil is a foil etched champion.
Robots.
Yeah. Modern Affinity All-Star. It's actually legacy playable in Affinity if you're into that kind of thing. It has the biggest mechanic from Scars besides infect, which is Metalcraft. If you have 3 artifacts, including himself, he has protection from all colors, which is not bad. We got a forest, because that's cool. And our rare is a Mindslaver.
This is a pretty good pack so far.
Mindslaver was a reprint from Old Mirrodin, which you can... It's 6 to cast, and you can pay 4, tap it, and sacrifice it to control your opponent's next turn. There are a lot of ways to abuse it in different formats so that you can just take infinite turns of theirs. It's not as fun as it used to be because now you actually have to have a way to win, but when Mindslaver came out, you used to just make them mana burn themselves to death. Other notable cards we got in this pack: Galvanic Blast, the better Lightning Bolt for Affinity. Also, to be noted, Koth is in the art and his head is gigantic. Yeah, that made it through the flavor police very well because he has tiny arms and tiny legs. But that card's still a house today. Some of the cooler cards that aren't necessarily played as much: Palladium Mirror. The Mirror are a cycle of artifact creatures that mostly are 2-mana 1/1s that produce 1 mana. But this is a 3-mana 2/2. It doesn't produce colored mana, but it produces 2 colorless. And that actually saw play in its standard. Probably one of my favorite cards from this limited is Darkslick Drake. 4-mana 2/4 flying, which is far better than most things in this set anyway. But when it dies, you get to draw a card. In terms of limited, there are obviously a lot of artifacts, as you can tell. This is not a relatively uncommon ratio of artifacts to non-artifact. But you have some colored things like Moriok Replica. Helps if you play black, but you don't have to. It can be a gray ogre if you really need one. But so cards like Etch Champion, which at the time was a relative money card. Now it's actually still worth some stuff, especially foils, because it's in Modern. But even looking past that, it's actually one of the better cards. 3-mana 2/2 is not terrible, but you end up finding yourself late in it with a lot of like spell bombs of whatever your color is. Even sometimes like Panic Spellbomb sometimes make the cut. Horizon Spellbomb will make the cut in non-green decks because you don't need the color to use their abilities. So you'll find yourself with a lot of odd artifacts that you won't always need, and the Metalcraft deck is actually really strong if you can get into it quick enough. Of course, Galvanic Blast, if you can make it into red. Shock is very good in this format, much less 4 damage instead of 2. As well as some of the lesser known cards, like Relic Putrescence. It enchants an artifact, but whenever the enchanted artifact becomes tapped, its controller gets a poison counter. It's not a removal spell, but it is hilarious how greedy people get when they attack you with like random Darksteel Juggernauts or something, and you chump block for 4 turns, and then you infect them out for no reason. Proliferate was really good in Scar's block draft, and this is actually one of the lesser valued cards that could help you get free game wins without actually having to attack them. But first picks, I mean, Etch Champion's probably your money draft. Mindslaver was usually too much mana investment for limited, because it's 10 mana to take one of their turns, but it was still a cool card. A lot of people used it in Standard at the time. But the biggest choices are Etch Champion. Palladium Mirror keeps you really open. There are a lot of 5-drops, 6-drops that you can pick up that are very good, that are much worse if you don't have mana ramp, so it keeps you open and fits into almost any deck. The Trigon of Thought is not a bad blue card, but there's not a whole lot of blue. You have the Trigon and Darkslick Drake. Trigon would probably wheel, but overall you're looking at, you can either try and move into green with the Palladium Mirror for extra ramp, the Horizon Spellbomb, and the Protection from Artifacts Infect guy, the Telgelad Fallen. Usually you don't play Infect if you go mono green, but having Protection from Artifacts is really good, and he's basically a 4-mana removal spell. So it's actually not a bad pack overall in Limited. It seems there are some underpowered cards like Azuri's Archer. Doesn't seem great when it blocks a flyer, it becomes a 4/2, but it's relatively underpowered. The Sunspear Shikari, if it's equipped, it has first strike and lifelink, but there's not a lot of equipment that doesn't get taken early. They did have something like the indestructible Bone Splitter is in this set, but that'll usually wheel, especially in a pack with no other white. But you can get away with taking something like Palladium Mirror. The Horizon Spellbomb usually goes a little later than it should, but to be honest, we're all taking the Etch Champion anyway. It's too rad, and it's beautiful. So that's our Scars of Mirrodin pack. As usual, all of these cards, including this sweet foil, are available at SilverCreekGameShop.com, and I'll see you all next time that we do one of these pack openings.